Conversations. Your words have power. Together, we will have a multi-generational conversation on topics that are considered taboo, risky, controversial, but most of all, thought-provoking. Welcome to Unspoken Conversations. Your words have power. Together, we will have a multi-generational conversation on topics that are considered taboo, risky, controversial, but most of all, thought-provoking. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unspoken Conversations. Your words have power. It is your host, Letitia, and your co-host,
Brandon. I gotta work on that.
It's a work in progress.
Yep.
We're so excited because we are kicking off a series. This series is the result. If anyone saw the little quick promo that I did earlier in the week, we did an interview. I think it was back in I want to say it was October. For a friend of ours. His name is Anthony Davis, and it was an interview launching his new book. Well, as a result, number one, we got a lot of views. It was like a springboard and catapult for his new book, and so I was like, I think I want to start a series where I showcase up and coming authors. And so I'm so fortunate to be a member of such an amazing, awesome church that is chock full of authors. and so with that being said, I would love to introduce you all to Tocquinn Cordice, who also is an up and coming author. And the name of her book is How to Spark the correction. That's part of the title. I'll let her tell you the full title, but basically this is How to Spark the Inclusion Conversation. And I'm so excited to talk to her about her book, what exactly the inclusion conversation looks like from her perspective. And I want everybody to feel free if you would like to call in and comment live. You will see the phone number scrolling across the bottom of the screen. The number is 980-425-3331. And yes, you will be live on the air. So really know if you call in, you're gonna be on the air. Otherwise, you can communicate with us via Facebook or via YouTube, and we will engage you in conversation, comment to which if you have any questions for Tocquinn, please do not hesitate to ask. And again, this is just an informal conversation. Before I turn it over to her so she can introduce herself and tell you a little bit more about herself. Here is, let's see, little camera acting funky. Can't see the book. Y'all see the book?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't see the book because I got look, the little screen thing in the back is not working. Okay, but Tocquinn will show you.
Just do this. Just do this. Well, this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Boom. There you go. There you go.
Dana. Good evening, Felicia. Thank you so much for joining us. See there, Tocquinn got it. She's showing the cover of her book. We will all let you know before we part where you can get your own personal copy. And I don't know, Tocquinn, did you have a book signing?
I have not had it yet. It's coming. That's
Oh, what?
that's part of the next steps. Yes.
Okay, well, again, it is my pleasure and honor to be able to bring you on this platform so that you can get the word out about your book. And like I said, I feel privileged to be able to showcase you and do whatever I can to help promote my sister. So
Thank
with that being said, um, to everyone, friends and family, I would like to introduce you to Mrs. Tocquinn Cordice.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much, Letitia and Brandon, for sharing your platform with me. I so appreciate this opportunity. As she said, my name is Tocquinn Cordice. I am an inclusion champion. I am a wife, a mother of two sons, Dale, which is 13, which is my why. You'll hear about him later, and my youngest son, Dorian, who is 10. I am the author of Stop the Stare, Start the Conversation, A Guide to Inclusion. I am the COO of Different is the New Cool, which you'll also hear more about that as well. And I also work in commercial insurance as a 9 to 5. So it's a lot of things, a lot of sparks in the fire right now.
All right, excellent. But I am really looking forward to finding out first and foremost. So you mentioned that Dale was your motivation to in writing this book. So tell us a little bit about Dale.
So Dale is right now he's 13. When he was 5, he was diagnosed with ADHD. I started noticing symptoms when he was probably about 3. And I would say the blessing for me is that my best friend's son had just recently been diagnosed with ADHD. So I was able to get information based on him and see some of the symptoms that he was exhibiting. And I started noticing some of those same symptoms in Dale, the hyperactivity, not being able to look you in your eye when he talks to you, um, very, very easily distracted. Very emotional, things that for the average you would think would be no big deal will cause him to what he now calls rage. He's very hypersensitive. It was a point where he would get angry, he would hit himself, like things that just didn't seem okay. And I mentioned this to the pediatrician, and she sort of like dismissed me, which kind of made me upset. He's a boy, he's only 3, and he'll get out of it. And I heard that from a lot of people, but I also expressed my concerns to his daycare, and they were actually excited because they were noticing the same things and didn't know how to approach me.
Oh,
So
okay.
they worked with him and they helped us. And following year, when I go back to the pediatrician, I'm still expressing my concerns. Nothing has changed. And she said, well, let's wait till he starts school and see what happens. I really think he's going to grow out of it. I said, okay. So he has what's considered a late birthday. His birthday is in September. So he was going to have to wait a year before starting kindergarten. So we decided to put him in private school so he wouldn't have to wait. And he was at that school a total of 8 days when they let me know that they were not equipped to handle his behavior.
Oh.
They told me that if I was to get him diagnosed, to please bring him back because he was so smart. No, I'm gonna keep my money. We just gonna go back to the daycare. But what I did after I got out of my feelings, because I was upset, angry, like who are you to reject my child, all of the feelings. But once I got myself together, I went to their principal and I asked her to put something in writing as to why they were releasing him from the school. So I took that letter, gave it to my pediatrician, and it was at that point that she gave me the sign off to have him evaluated by a psychologist. And that's when we got the official diagnosis of him having ADHD. And that was at age 5.
Oh, okay.
So he, like I said, he is now 13, but that's why when I say he is the why behind all of this. Different is new cool, the book, everything is all based and surrounded by him.
So, so is it typical or routine that diagnosis comes specifically from a psychologist? It's not necessarily pediatricians who make that diagnosis?
From my understanding, no, it's not necessarily pediatricians that make a diagnosis like that. They may observe the same things and think it, but to give the official diagnosis, from my understanding, it comes from a psychologist. So he had to go through a series of tests before, you know, it took about a month or two, and then they came up with his diagnosis.
What are some of those things that they would have to like literally be considered to have ADHD? Like,
well, like I said, for him, it was, like I said, the things that I noticed were the lack of eye contact. He could never look you directly in your eyes when you're talking to him. He's very easily distracted. He could be working on a task. You can see a bird fly by. All of a sudden, he's to the left, and it could be hard to redirect him. He was very active. Anytime, Letitia could probably tell you at church, when he was in the nursery, you see an open door, he's shooting out of it. He's running out of it. Like, he was just super active. Like, I tell people this story all the time. When I was 9 months pregnant with my youngest son, Dale was in daycare, and I went to pick him up, and they opened that door, and he shot out the door, running to the street, and they were literally pushing me out the way, running to get him right before his little feet touched that street. They dragged him up. I said, you know, I thought I was about to go in labor in that parking lot. I was so scared. I knew I couldn't go get him. But
it's so interesting because I remember, you know, when he was still like a toddler, like infant, like he was such a good baby. he was a good baby. I would have never thought. But then, you know, once because I had the nurseries, I had the and what have you. So now I don't know, but there was occasions where I was in the 2 and 3 year old room, and he seemed to be okay.
Yeah,
but I mean, look, I
don't know. And I hear that a lot when people only deal with him for short amounts of time. They say that he seems okay, but there have been times where I've been at church ushering on the door and look up and see him running down the hallway.
Really?
And somebody chasing after him. I mean, it's to the point that I was like, you know, luckily at church, everybody knew it. So if he ran off, I'm like, oh, somebody gonna bring him back. They know who he belongs to at this point. But it was very difficult to get resources because on the other end, he's so book smart. Yeah. So they look at it from the standpoint, because the daycare actually tried to have him evaluated through the school district. And when they came and they evaluated him, when I went there, she was like, Miss Tocquinn, Dale had a good day. And they really was like, there was nothing they could offer him, because they felt like that if he's learning, then his, whatever this behavior condition was, it wasn't affecting his ability to learn. So they felt like there was nothing that they could do. So that's another reason why it took so hard. So it's like it takes 22.
Yeah, see, I just seen a video of somebody speaking about that, of how it affects people when it does, like, because there's different cases of ADHD.
Yes.
And you don't necessarily have to be on the spectrum to have ADHD. And it's
correct.
You know, so
yeah, because ADHD and autism are two different disorders, but they have a lot of similar symptoms. And actually, when Dale was diagnosed, he was diagnosed with ADHD and provisional autism, which means he exhibited some signs of autism, but not enough to be considered on the spectrum.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. So I'm learning a lot through this process.
So what type of like did they want to, well, did they introduce medicine or any holistic like approach? Like what type of approach did they try to come with?
So now what they do when they diagnose you, they give you a packet of information with several different options, and you know, it's up to you to choose what option you want to use as your family. You know, a lot of it is based on different types of medicine, books, different types of therapy, and this and that. We chose not to medicate Dale. So we do more holistic options or more organic options. Like he takes Mary Ruth's organic focus drops. We take, liquid vitamins, NutriBurst through Total Life Changes, liquid vitamin, just to kind of keep him calm and centered. When he was younger, he had issues sleeping. So we did have to give him melatonin at night to help him with his sleeping. But now that he's older, he has more of a handle on it. And their minds are constantly moving. So it's hard, even when when they're laying down, their mind is always moving. So it's hard for them to settle their minds down to sleep. But now he knows how to regulate himself. He knows that he needs to go to bed. So even though he's 13, at 8:30, he's like, "Oh, Mom, it's 8:30. I got to go to bed," because he knows it's going to take him a little bit to calm himself down.
So really quick before we like get into the book, did like modeling and acting become like an outlet for him? Like because like I said, to see him in his craft or what have you, I mean, just as a model, I mean, like when I tell you, first of all, that's the coolest dude you're gonna ever see. I mean, like Dale acts like he was born to be in front of the camera.
It is so funny because
is that like an outlet for him?
It really is. It is so funny that you said that, because my brother-in-law, he used to joke about that all the time. He was like, "Now this dude be running around like a crazy man, but you put a camera in his face and he just as cool as could be."
Yes.
So that just became his safe space. He gets on that runway, he just as confident. But when he's not, he running in circles all over the place when he's not in front of a camera.
Right. And then this same child who is being diagnosed with ADHD, right? He's acting, so he has the ability to memorize lines.
And that's actually one of his, I say, superpowers is memorization. Like things just come to him and they stick. And when he gets fixated on something, that's just his thing. Like a big thing for him is when he watches movies, he likes to know the characters' real names. So we always have to stay and sit through the credits because he needs to know who every actor is. And he's not going to forget when he sees another movie, "Oh, they were in this movie and they were in that movie." He remembers all the characters' real names.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. So having now that experience with your child and attempting to navigate the school system, tell us about the book.
So I'll take a little step back. So because of his ADHD and because he's been in situations where, his peers don't always understand him. So he has felt, the hurt of being excluded for things. And I've personally seen, peers exclude him from things. So that's what started us with the movement of different is the new cool. And we started it as a clothing line because of the modeling. Because we like, well, he ripping the runway and all these other designers' clothes. What if we had kids ripping the runway in his own design? So that's where this spark came from with the different is the new cool. I initially wanted it to be a platform for him to share his story and his journey to his peers, but I didn't really know how to navigate or enter into that space. So we started with the clothing line just to get our message out there. And through the years, as we've been developing and doing this, we've joined forces with a community called Raising a Mogul. And he joined a thing called Young Mogul Speaker Academy. So he has now become a certified public speaker. So now he is starting to share his story. Yes, in different spaces. So you can book Dale for a speaking engagement. Yes. And based on
it sounds like I need to go hang out with him, man. I gotta go take some notes. Good gracious.
Nice.
Yes, and that's
living the dream right now, ain't it?
Yes, we really just want to inspire kids. It doesn't matter what people say you are, what disability you are. We always tell them you are not defined by your diagnosis. You have ADHD, you are not ADHD. There's nothing that you can't accomplish. Your journey may look a little different, but success is in your future regardless. And we just go from there. That's how we just want to encourage young people with disabilities and young people that don't have disabilities to follow your dreams. It doesn't matter what anyone says about you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get into the book. So first, I noticed the very first thing I noticed out the gate was that it's more of like an interactive workbook.
Yes, and the goal was to be geared toward elementary age children, and it's again, and the title of the book, by the way, is Stop the Stare, Start the Conversation, A Guide to Inclusion. And I like to refer to it as a perfect resource for parents and teachers of elementary age kids to teach them about embracing differences and the importance of inclusion. And I say it's primarily geared toward elementary age children, because when you get into kindergarten, first grade, that's when children really start to learn and see differences in each other, you know, colors, hair color, eye color, skin color, you know, someone's in a wheelchair, you know. So that's why I want to start those conversations early. And I want them to start in the homes so that when they get into the school, they're not surprised when they see children that don't look like them. They're not shocked when they see somebody that doesn't look like them. And they know how to have empathy. They know how to operate in kindness. So I want that conversation to start at home, but I also want it to be reinforced in the classroom. So my vision is really for my book to be placed into schools as part of their social and emotional learning.
Okay. Oh, very good. I like that. So, the very first chapter, well, you kind of like went over it, understanding disabilities. The next chapter is what is inclusion and what's important. So you kind of like broke that down, but speak a little bit more to the why it's important, and the dangers of us not adequately and sufficiently understanding our children or adults, for that matter, who have differences. I don't want to call it. I don't want to call it disabilities. They're just different.
Yeah, and we like to say different abilities.
Different abilities. Okay, I like that. Different abilities.
Yes. So two things with that. The reason why it's important is because everyone wants to feel seen, valued, and appreciated. Mm-hmm. Each and every person. I tell a story when Dale was in kindergarten, one of his classmates came to me and he said, you know, Dale is my friend. He's a little crazy, but a lot good. And that just like you said, oh, like that's my heart right there. Like that was what really started things going with me in my mind. Like I really have to do something about this, because someone that young understood acceptance at that age. Why can't adults understand that level of acceptance? Everyone needs to have access to that level of acceptance. So that is really the power and the force behind why I wanted to write the book, because I want everyone to be able to experience that level of acceptance.
I totally agree with you in terms of it starting at home. And so you think about these children who I don't think a child starts off wanting to be a bully.
Exactly.
I feel like as a parent, you should be preparing your children before they enter this venue with a bunch of different other people.
Yes.
And granted, you know, you can't necessarily pinpoint, you know, everything that they're going to encounter, but I do agree that you need to let them know that they're going to be children that are going to be different than them, and how they should interact with them, like what their role is, because truth be told, they're just as different. The ones who would be considered normal are just as different as those who we are now classifying as different able. You said that's the word, right? Different able.
Different ability. And
different
you just hit the nail on the head, because one thing that I touch on, although I'm primarily focused on disabilities, because Dale, of course, has a disability, but a different can be anything. It could be anything that sets you apart. It could be your height. It could be your weight. It could be glasses, braces. It could be anything. I did a video on my page my personal difference is I have keloid skin. That sparks conversations, especially with children. Everywhere I go, how did you get, those scars? So a different can be anything.
Yes.
Anything that
Absolutely.
sets you
And
apart. Yes.
kids, they are not afraid to actually ask questions. I know
Absolutely.
some adults that are actually afraid to ask questions because they don't know how. A kid don't care. They just like, look, I want to
Yeah,
know
they operate
what
in
that
no
is. Yeah, it's like, okay, what is that? All right, okay. Well, can you play? Yeah. All right, okay.
That's it. Exactly right.
Mhm,
And that's what I'm
mhm,
saying.
mhm.
When you talk about the dangers, you already hit on it. It's like when people don't understand things, they tend to criticize and judge and make fun of, and that's where the bullying starts. And when you let things like that fester, that's when you have the suicide rates with these children increasing because of things like that. So those are the dangers of not embracing differences, not starting these inclusion conversations and reinforcing them in the classroom, because they don't understand all these different emotions and things that they're going through. So they lash out in ways that are negative. So that's why I really just want to like start those conversations often and early, so that when they do get in situations, when they see someone that doesn't look like them, they're not frazzled. They're not pointing and laughing. They're like, hey, let me talk to them. Let me see what's going on with them. Let me find out more about them. And you'll find that they have just as much in common as anyone else. You didn't even realize that you have so much in common because you never took the time to get to know them, because you're judging them by how they look.
So let me ask you this. If I'm a parent who has a child that's getting ready to enter into the school system, let's say we'll go with kindergarten. So we'll just say, I had my child home for those first 5 years or what have you. So they didn't do Head Start and daycare and all that. They literally have been home with me. They might have interacted with their family members, cousins and maybe
Right.
other siblings, but they have not interacted with children who are outside of their family. So as a parent, what would your recommendations be how to introduce the idea or the notion that there are going to be children in your class that are going to be different than you?
There's a few simple different ways. One, books on their level about children from different cultures. It doesn't even have to be, like I said, about disabilities, but children that are just different, period, from them. Cultures, disabilities, anything like that. Just introducing them to that right there. Understanding, letting them tell you what sets them apart, what's their different. Ask them, have they ever felt excluded or anything? How do they feel like they can be kind to others? How would they be kind to someone that they don't know? Asking them and sparking those conversations with them. But like I said, definitely just introducing them to the idea of befriending someone that's different than you, and letting them see people that are different, and letting them see successful people that are different.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think this
You
is this
got a
is this is
little
awesome.
Denzel on your hands. I mean,
What'd you say, Brandon?
I said she got a little Denzel on her hands, little Sidney Poitier over there.
I see
Acting, modeling.
that.
Hey.
I think I mean I think that this is an awesome platform. And I mean, being that, so look, I've seen Dale in his craft.
Yes.
I've seen him in his craft, and so I can absolutely see him being a motivational speaker, because he's speaking from a place that he knows. And so I haven't heard him speak yet, but I would imagine that he probably becomes somebody else. Like, yeah, I probably have to do a double take and be like, wait, is that Dale?
Yes.
But that's his element.
Yes. It is so funny because I didn't expect him to actually want to be in that space so much. I thought it was going to be more like me having to coax him, but he actually likes to be in that space. And he has, you know, a couple set topics that he talks about, like we created a difference advocate pledge. So that's what he typically talks about. And it's just 3 steps into becoming a difference advocate. And we want to encourage young people to advocate not only for themselves, but for others as well. And the 3 steps are: 1, embrace your own different, identify what sets you apart. Number 2, be a friend, not a bully, operate in kindness. And then 3, take the limits off of yourself, understanding that although your journey may be different, there's no reason why you won't be successful.
So tell me, at 13 now, so he's in middle school.
Yes.
How is his interactions now with those groups of children? Because look, I think we will all agree that middle school.
I already know where you're going. Yes. I feel like he actually changed school. So he's in a new school this year. So it's like new school, new him, new opportunities.
Yeah.
And I feel more confidence coming from him.
Okay.
So I feel like he's doing completely 100% better socially than he was before. But I will also say too, and this is probably just a natural thing too, that he tends to gravitate to children that are also different. That's his comfortable spot.
I'm sorry, he gravitates to who?
To children that are also different.
Okay.
But you know, they have their little clique. Which I like that, because no one can understand or accept what they're going through like them. So, and I think it's cool that they can identify those things within each other.
Very good. Very good. I'm so excited about his future. And again, I'm remembering this quiet little quiet baby.
You know them since the beginning. So
who would have known, right, that he would have had a set of, you know, perceived challenges. I'm going to say perceived challenges, because in all actuality, the challenge wasn't really for him. The challenge was for us and how to deal with him.
Exactly.
And so now, you know, he's creating platforms and so on and so forth. So Lita, go ahead and ask Lita, you have the option of either calling in, and you can be live on the air, or you could just simply ask your question in the chat, and we because we can all see it. And if it's for Tocquinn, then Tocquinn will be able to answer, and I'll just put your question like up on the screen. Or like I said, or you could call in. It's whichever you would prefer, whichever you are comfortable with. So while we're waiting for Lita to decide if she's gonna call in or is she gonna just give us a comment. Randy, did you had any questions for Tocquinn? Because I know, don't you have so Lita, just ask your question right here on the screen, because we can see it.
Oh, and I was just going to touch too, the difference between invisible and visible disabilities. I mean, it says it in the name, but Dale has what's considered an invisible disability. You can't just look at him and tell that he has it. So I think sometimes that causes an even bigger challenge, because it's not until you see it acted out in him having a symptom or raging over something that you realize that something's a little different or a little off. So I think that may throw his peers off also too. But you'll also see that when I say he's a little socially awkward, his conversation may be different. You know, he's all about video games and Super Mario and that, and some of his peers might not be into those things. So when he's trying to have a conversation, they're like, oh, what is he talking about? Like you can see it on their face. That's what I said. I witnessed, you know, children try to exclude him from things because they don't get it. You know, what he's talking about is not of importance to them.
So Lolita or anyone else who's interested in calling in, the number is scrolling on the bottom of the screen. And the number is 980-425-3331. All right. So Brandon, now I know, isn't one of your sons, wasn't he also diagnosed?
Yes, yes. One of my sons was diagnosed with ADHD.
So
Um,
you understand this journey.
like no, I don't, because
And you
I
know what?
mean, like you would not be able, unless you were in his class, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Really?
Um,
So it's only at school
yeah,
where
it's
you
just
can
only
see.
at school. Like I
Oh
mean,
wow.
whenever he's around me, I don't see it. Because probably because I act the same way. Like for a minute, I was like, but man, I think maybe I got ADHD because I don't see that. I don't. You know what I mean? I looked at some of the symptoms and things of that nature. I'm like, wow. Uh, okay, should I get evaluated or something? Because like I honestly I can't really recognize it with him. Um, the only thing that I did know is that he would finish his work really quick. Like he gets bored extremely fast. He has to go on to
Mm-hmm.
something else, and he would get in trouble a lot in school because he's already done with his stuff, but he want to talk.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But he got good grades. I was just like, okay, you
And
AV,
that's why, and
Look,
that
ADHD
exhibit A
student,
is why it's hard to get resources too, because
right? You know what I
they're
mean?
smart.
So for me it was kind of difficult to accept because I didn't believe it. I'm like, ain't no way. Like
And it's
how?
so funny that you say that because something that I have noticed, just me personally, and in talking to other moms, is that sometimes it is a harder pill for the dad to swallow
Yeah,
than for the moms. And like I was explaining it, to little Dale, when you find out, you're about to have a child, you have all these great visions of what their life is going to be, what they're going to be when they grow up. And then when you get hit with this diagnosis, it kind of stifles you.
yeah,
But, it just takes some time, this is something that we talk about in one of the talks that Dale does, talking directly to parents on ways to support a child with a disability. And the first step is to acknowledge that your child has a disability.
yeah. And just like his mother, she went to school for special education, so she was used to being able to see it by the diagnosis. And I was like, "Why are you doing that, that son?" And blah blah blah. Like I was mad.
Yes,
Like I really was. I was mad.
that's it.
And I didn't understand. And I'm just like, I don't see this. I think that well, I felt like because he acted a certain way with me, what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, I didn't see anything, what I'm saying, but he just acted a different way. Like he was more so himself around his mother. And then
Mm-hmm.
when he was around me, he was just like, nah, I ain't about to do that. Nah, I'm gonna figure out a way,
Exactly.
but so like eventually I had to accept it. Like it's still hard to accept it now. Cause
It
I
is.
mean a lot of the
It's
stuff that
still
he do,
hard
like
over here, trust.
he played basketball,
but
soccer, football. He loves video games. I mean, he got the whole
Yes.
desktop computer thing with two screens, the microphone and everything. I'm like ADHD, man. Come on, like I still don't like. I didn't get it, but it
But
is
do
what it
you
is.
have to think that that is because historically they had the medical field has painted this picture of it as being something negative.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Um,
yeah,
Absolutely.
something bad. Like if they diagnose your child with ADHD, and then you're like, you're like, uh, oh, 1 second. We have a caller. Give me one moment. So like I was saying, historically, they they made it seem like it was such a bad thing. So it's like, oh no, not my child. My child is not either. It's not autism. It's not on the spectrum. Doesn't have ADHD or all the other alphabets that they want to put on our children, because they made it bad. And then
I
we
100%
also
agree with
know
that.
that a lot of school systems, once they put that label on their children, then they want to isolate them and put them in like those 15-to-1 classrooms and so on and so forth. So now they're isolated. So it is further carrying this having this negative connotation on it. So I can see why a lot of fathers, would have that feeling, because it's been drilled to them, right, that this is a bad thing, this is a negative thing, something's wrong with your child is broken.
Exactly.
So we have a caller.
I think that things have come a long way.
Okay. Yeah, so we have a caller. So caller, you're on the air. Please share your name with us, and then feel free to ask your question.
Yes. Hello.
Yes, we hear you.
Oh, okay. Good evening to all, and happy New Year to all.
Happy New Year.
Good evening.
Lisa, it's not so much a question. I'm just understanding what the caller is talking about special ed, because I took social emotional learning up, and also I have special needs. I have a special learning disability, and it took me a long time to find somebody that can understand my disability, me being in college. So it took me a while, and because of that, what I do now in the community, the ones who are preparing to go to work or go to college, I'll tell them the different steps and the ways that they can prepare themselves, or what kind of help they can get to becoming. Because even though that they might have a special, like me, I still have, when you go to work or in the community, you still have to learn how to deal with it. So that's something that I do now, because of me. When I was in school, I didn't realize that I had a disability, where I learned it when I started college. So
wow. That's awesome. I thank you for sharing that.
Even though that I taught special ed and alternative, but I knew that I had something wrong with me, but no one didn't know how to help me or explain it, or to help me for my schoolwork going back that time. And I went to a Catholic school, so you go to a Catholic school, they don't have those amenities that we could use.
Right.
Wow, Lisa, thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate you sharing that, because you give us the perspective of what an adult, or just a young person entering into college has to contend with, and so even on a college level, there's still so much more that needs to be understood, and how to engage and incorporate all of us. But it's really it's sad, basically, that you should have to get all the way to college, and then be able to get help. So that means you had a whole primary education,
right,
that you didn't get everything that you needed. So that means that you're now entering into college with somewhat of an unnecessary deficit.
Well, I'm right now working on my PhD. So I have not just got college. It has been a struggle.
All right, now.
So it's a struggle for me. It has been a struggle. But for me to finally get the right tutor to understand my disability, it was very challenging. And I just got it this year. Well, last year, I just picked up I went through the disability services in college. I wasn't aware of that until last year. I've been in since 2009, and no one never said, because I always had tutors. So but I
Mhm.
to school.
Mm-hmm.
So that made it different. And it was more challenging for me because some of the people did help me outside. You know, I had teachers, former teachers, and all of that, but I wasn't related to because I still had that deficit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Wow. Well, look, I'm excited. Did I just hear you say that you're working on your PhD?
A PhD, yes. Yes.
Good.
Congratulations.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, because I know when I was in school, I know I had anxiety, and every time it was time for test time,
Mm-hmm.
mind you know, in the beginning of the week, they'll give you what your assignment's going to be the
Yes.
week. They'll give you the 10 cent words or 5 cent words.
Right.
So during the whole week, mind you, I know we're going to have a test on Friday. By the time Friday comes, I'm going to study, learn the definition. By the time Friday came, I was in an anxiety pattern that they had to take me on the other side of the school just for me to calm down, just for me to take the test.
But during that time, nobody understood what.
Nobody. What it was. And when they say test, when I took my driver's license, I took it orally. When I take my first aid and CPR, I take it orally because I'm a test person, and where my mind is, I think outside the box. I don't think inside the box because for example, I'm getting for me because I work in a school. So they asked me, would you stop a fight or would you let them continue? And I said, three different answers. And I said, because I know who I am, I would step in and I would break it up because I know how to handle it. But they said, no, that's the wrong answer because you can get hurt and hurt others. But it depends on the situation. So that's why I have one of the issues when it comes to tests because I don't have enough hands on. Then book smart, I started backwards. I had more hands on, and that's why it's so late for me to go back to school. So I went back to school.
Well, Lita, thank you again for sharing. I sincerely appreciate that, and congratulations on your
Congratulations.
You made sure that we know about when graduation is, so we can all come and celebrate you. And we're looking forward to your book.
Yes.
Because I hear a book. I hear a book in you now. Is policies and procedures on what?
And criminal.
Okay. So now, is that what your book is going to be on? Is that your thesis?
No, my book is going to be on how to control, how to maintain order in the police department.
Okay.
For example, I as a former law enforcement, I worked at my state, and I did security for President Obama, and I'm doing that tender. But the way I look at it is, each officer should have insurance, just like we got to have insurance on our cars and our homes, and insurance when we go to the hospital. Each one of them should have insurance on them. So if they kill someone or harm someone, instead of the citizens of that state pay for it to the family to them, from chasing and running and shooting and killing when you start hitting their pockets because it's going to affect their family.
Oh, Brandon likes that.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta hit them where it hurts for to stop.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, again, congratulations on both the book and you obtaining your doctorate. And I'm looking forward to calling you Dr. Lita. I love and appreciate you. And thank you again for calling.
All right, I'll be continuing to listen. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a good point that she touched on, that she was in college by the time she discovered that she had a disability. And that's another thing that I pray that, given this in my book, will speak to the hearts of parents because of, like you said, the stigma put on them on disabilities in the past, making them a negative thing, not wanting your child to be labeled, saying that that label will follow them throughout school. At the same time, when you don't follow your gut, when you don't have those diagnosed, when you don't do anything to address those symptoms, you're not allowing them to get the resources they need to thrive either.
Right.
You know, when you get them diagnosed, they can get on an IEP, an individualized education plan, or get on a 504 plan. Like she was saying, like with testing, with Dale's plan, he has to have what we call it premier seating. So he doesn't sit next to windows or doors. He sits typically closer to the front of the class, typically closer to the teacher to eliminate distractions. When he has testing, he tests in a room either by himself or with a small number of kids. And he's also allowed extended time on his testing as well because of his ADHD. So it's like those things aren't accounted for when you don't address it, when you're afraid to address it. So I want people to take those limits off. Don't be afraid to address. Don't be worried about your child being labeled. Understand that your child needs certain resources. And if no one understands what's going on, they're not going to get those resources.
Right. That's excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that, Tocquinn. A question that I have with regard to the labeling of our children. So I'm sure there's well, I don't want to say I'm sure, but I believe that there's a small percentage of children who may actually fall into the same category as Dale. But then you have another group of children because of, let's say, just challenges at home. It unfortunately affects their behaviors in the classroom. And so you end up having a lot of children who get misdiagnosed. So I think that, besides the negative stigma that has always followed those various diagnoses, there's I think a staggering number of children who have been misdiagnosed, and then with that misdiagnosis, then there's this isolation that is created for the student and the stigma. So it's like you may have the child may have behavioral problems, but the behavioral problems is not because of any particular diagnosis. They have an unstable home environment. And I think we all can agree that our children don't always know how to articulate themselves and and talk about what's going on. And so it comes out in their behavior. And so then,
and some people are old school. They, what happens in the house stays in the house type of thing. And they have a fear of speaking on what's going on at home.
Right. And so then, then they want to go and they want to get them tested and they get these IEPs done and what have you. And then next, they want to put your child on Ritalin. So that's where all that negative stuff comes about. Now, I don't really have that. I don't have that much experience with Ritalin, but I think, especially for people of color, we get real nervous when you start you want to introduce drugs and what have you on our children, or if
that wasn't even an option for me.
Right, you get convinced that your child is so out of control that that's the only way that they can be controlled. You're gonna give them Ritalin.
Yeah, no, that wasn't even an option for me. Yeah, as I said, I know now there's several different types of medications. Like I said, I have friends and I'm in different parenting groups of parents of children with disabilities, and they use all kind of various medications, but I've never been one to want to medicate my child, because I also know that there's, like with adults, there's side effects to all this medication too. And then also with Dale being in the arts and in acting and the modeling, I didn't want anything that was going to alter his personality, alter his freedom to be who he is. So that's why that was never an option for us. It would have to be a last resort, where he, to a point where he was uncontrollable.
Okay.
But I said that's an individual choice for each family, because each family is different. Each child is affected differently. Girls have a different effect than boys. So the older you are, you may have a different effect than younger ones. So it's each family is a personal choice, because some children have to be on medication in order to get them regulated.
Okay. Tell us a little bit more about your clothing line.
So, like I said, the clothing line is different as the new cool. We have t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies. We have cardigans for the children. We also have wristbands that say different is new cool, become a difference advocate, to go along with our difference advocate pledge. If you go on our website, you can also take the difference advocate pledge. You can also purchase the book on the website.
Here's the book.
Yeah. It's in the book behind you. But yes, so you mentioned a book signing earlier. So I have not had a book signing yet. I am scheduled to do my first book signing in the Atlanta area at the Douglasville Bookstore on February 3rd. So if there's anyone listening that's in the Georgia area, please meet me at the Douglasville Bookstore on February 3rd.
Okay.
So I'm very excited
Congratulations.
about that. Thank you. Is there any?
And what date? What you said? February 3rd?
February 3rd from 11 to 1.
Nice.
So if anybody in Charlotte would like to put my book in their bookstore, please let me know.
Nice.
Anyone in the school system that knows an end where I can get my book put in the social emotional learning, let me know.
That I love. This conversation has been so enlightening. I appreciate our caller Lita calling in and sharing her position and perspective from an adult, having had to navigate school systems, with with this what do we call it?
Different
ability. Having to, have navigated this, the school systems with that, and then on to college, and still, still attempting to navigate it, but despite lack of understanding and what have you, she has still soared, and will be will be earning her doctorate, despite not receiving maybe all of the help that she could have received. But I think Lita is a unique situation. That's not going to be everybody's story.
Right.
So hence, the reason why you wrote this book and you have started this this campaign. And so I celebrate you, because I think it's awesome. Now I have grandchildren that I know of right now. None have been diagnosed. I have two who they diagnosed, but it was like they stuck a label on them and then they just left it at that. One they put on drugs. The other one they wanted to put on drugs, but his mother would not let him. But again, I think, I said, unfortunately, the children that need to have that diagnosis don't get the diagnosis, hence they don't get the help that they need. The children who don't need that diagnosis, but they got other stuff going on, right? They get the diagnosis and they still don't get the help that they need.
6% less likely to get it. Just
I'm sorry.
56% less likely to get it.
What
Because normally
percentage
you
is less
ask
likely?
Black and Latino,
Yes.
Are less likely to
less
right.
likely to get the accurate treatment that they need if when it comes
Yeah.
to ADHD.
Less likely to get the resources. The more most likely to get incorrect diagnosis. All that. But
Yeah, because I mean, instead of digging deeper, they would rather label us as being bad and uncontrollable, but not realizing there could be something going on psychologically that you just don't want to take the time to dig into.
And it's unfortunate because for the most part, a lot of the teachers, they have a curriculum that they need to get through, and they all of the distractions prevent them from doing what they need to do. So they much rather medicate you so to keep you quiet so they can get through their lesson plan than to really find out what's going on with a student. So Lisa asks, is the book on Audible?
It's not an Audible. It is on Amazon, but it's not Audible.
Yeah. Lisa, and this is and Ace, I can just elaborate really quick that it's an interactive workbook.
Yes, and it's more geared toward elementary age children. There are activities in here like word searches, crossword puzzles. There's coloring pages. Something that was important to me was for Dale to see himself in my book. So he's one of the coloring pages. There's journal writing prompts. So it's really for elementary age children.
Okay, and then now can you also share really quick, because our Dale is in a movie, and
Yes.
I've seen the movie, y'all.
Yes, you have. So Dale was in a movie that we actually filmed it here in Charlotte in June of 2022. It debuted at the South by Southwest Film Festival in March, and it opened up in movie theaters in June, and it's called The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. And it is now streaming on Prime, on Vudu. I've heard people say they were flying and they watched it on the plane. So it's everywhere, y'all. So go see it.
Yeah,
isn't
it available on Tubi also?
I'm not sure if it's available
I
on Tubi.
But I feel like it's available on Tubi, but it was available on Tubi at a charge.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah. But I listen. So now, if you're not a person who likes scary movies, so this might not be the movie for you. I like scary movies. I'm a horror movie person, so I loved it. And
you'll know some of the characters that are in the movie. You've seen them in other things. So
yep. And Dale was awesome. And I'm excited to see his next movie. And then you have another son, Dorian. And
yes, he's Tia.
Dorian is also acting. What is he doing?
Dorian's last project was Fatal Attraction. He was, I believe it was season 14, episode 1. It's called A Cryptic Call. So he was in that, and he was also in an episode of an Apple TV series called Swagger.
Oh,
as well. Yes.
I got Apple TV. I got to go find that.
Yeah, episode 4. He plays the younger version of one of the basketball boys. So he plays young Musa.
And so really quick, how Dorian get how did he get the acting bug? Was he sitting there looking at his brother going, I can do that?
Well, I think he may have been coaxed a little bit by mama.
Okay.
But because he's always on the road with us, having to tag along with everything that Dale did, like it only makes it. And Dorian really has more of the personality for it than Dale.
Yeah, Dorian is a character too. He's so
firsthand.
Yeah, like he's been here before.
Yes.
Yes. Brandon, you have any additional questions?
No, I think we covered everything, and I just want to say congratulations on everything, and especially on your book signing.
Thank you so much.
Coming up. I would say that me and my wife will try to be there, but we have a 2-year-old and his birthday.
Yes, and you got a little baby too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, if you know anyone in Charlotte that would be open to having me, let me know.
Oh yeah, well,
Absolutely,
definitely.
absolutely. Well, everybody, there you have it. Again, let me put the Toquinn's website back on the screen.
And can I share
So
something?
again, it is available on Amazon as well as at her website, which is differentisthenewcool.com, and you can also and then the clothing line is also available on the website as well. So we ask that you please support. I'll let her tell you what the cause is for, because everybody always want to know, well, where the money going. I'll let her share that, but I dare say I believe it will absolutely be for a good cause. I think this is a stellar cause, and I'm really excited about the doors that will be open for both Tocquinn and Dale and Dorian, and I look forward to being in the audience and listening to him motivate an audience. That I think that's amazing, because he's still, even now, he still acts a little bashful. So I'm like, what?
Yes.
He's
very bashful.
if I walk into Dale today, he'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. You're like, look, like you don't want to engage in no conversation, but hey, that's his element, that's his gifting, and so that's all right. Whatever whatever it takes.
Yes,
so again,
thank
everybody,
you
thank you so much. You're very, very welcome. I so appreciate you for coming in and sharing with us. And if there is anyone else who is watching, who will watch the replay, we are looking for other up and coming authors who would like to utilize our platform for promoting their book. All that we ask is that you just reach out to us. You can reach out via our Facebook page or our YouTube page. Let us know about the book. If you want to send us a book, just again, send us a message, or just tell us where we can purchase the book, and we will coordinate a date with you to come on and chat with us. So again, thank you, everyone. You have a blessed and safe night. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Tell all your friends and family members and homies and all the other folks.
Your mama, your cousin, your sister, your brother, your nephews,
all
nieces,
them.
your godparents, all of them.
All that.
And so everyone be blessed. You have an amazing evening, and we will see you again in 2 weeks.
Have a good night.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me do it. Unspoken conversations. Your words have power. Our goal is to educate and inspire positive action that will motivate change and understanding. Thank you for joining us.